Right, I'm really excited to be here. It's actually my first trip to London. Now, we are actually a Hong Kong startup. We started this company 5 years ago, and before that, we used to be a research team at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. And I used to be a PhD candidate with a research direction at deep learning, computer vision. Well, I was dragged together with several other students by our PhD supervisor to study this company together. And try to find out what we can do with our innovation side of the technology. So a little bit about the background. I think deep learning is something that we all been talking about. But actually, before deep learning, AI has been there for 50 years. However, well, before deep learning, AI used to be beaten by humans all the time. So humans are kind of outperforming the performances of AI. So it's hard to say that it can be commercialized, right? You prefer to use humans to do things over computers because they are reliable. But when deep learning came up back in 2010, we can see that there are some of the algorithms that the boundary of the technology kept pushing become superhuman accuracy, such as face recognition, voice recognition, a lot of them. So we see that the possibility of AI outperforming mass population. And even in the future, maybe 20, 30 years later, right, in the next several decades, AI can even outperform industry experts, such as doctors, such as expert drivers. So we've been seeing many startups are working in medical imaging, working on autonomous driving. They're having the goal to make that happen. I think AI is a very interesting industry to look at, especially for investors. And one of the essential reasons is AI is something that is of high ROI. The investment to AI literally pays for itself. Well, by 2022, the global AI-derived business value will be $3.9 trillion US, with the investment of the R&D side of AI to be $78 billion US. $1 invested to AI generates $50. So it's quite high in terms of the ROI of these types of technology. It enhances customer experience, it creates new revenue streams, and it reduces operating cost. So AI is related to automation, and automation brings up the efficiency of our production. And let's talk about China. Actually, China has been investing heavily into AI. And one of the essential reasons was these 4 parts, right? And we see that China has this one-child policy. So for generation like me, I don't have any brothers and sisters. But for my parents, they both have 5 brothers and sisters. So there's a obvious risk or challenge for the future of China that the laboring cost will be rising more and more, right? And also, China has become the manufacturing place for the rest of the world. It's been manufacturing a lot of cheap goods as well as the high-quality goods. But however, accumulated already 4.5% of decrease of work-age population has happened during the past 3 years. And the cost of labor will be doubling for the next several years. So that's kind of something that the governments of China are actively thinking about, right? And also around the aging society, and also around the rapid urbanization of China. You see that there are many megacities in China are rising up. Take Shenzhen as an example. 30 years ago, Shenzhen was just a fisher village. Now it's a megacity of 25 million population. So how to manage such a large city, right? What types of technology can you manage such city more efficiently, right? So, and also data. Data is a big advantage of China. We have a lot of data to generate technology. So putting all these happening together, we see that AI is becoming more and more important. AI-enabled automation allows China's economy to be less reliant on labor. So you can still grow our economy at 6-7% or GDP growth each year without with a decrease of labor actually happening all the time. So around the business, we see that the AI is of high business value. And we see that already a lot of tech giants are investing, well, to develop their own in-house AI team. They're recruiting from the universities. They are recruiting from the peers. They've been creating proprietary AI team, and they are doing a decent job in doing innovation and create state-of-the-art AI technology with their elite scientist team. So, but what we see is that what about the rest of the 99% of the companies, right? The corporates and even the governments, they also need AI technology, but somehow they wouldn't be able to have the essential ingredients to develop such technology. They wouldn't have, for instance, the talent, for instance, the data, or the know-how of how to develop AI. So we see that, well, there is a business opportunity out there for a company like us who are able to attract these scientists. Well, talent is the key of any industry, right? Especially when this industry is a technology-driven industry and it's at early stage. Talents are key. So, so there will be startups like us who have the necessary incentive plans to create a superior environment to attract these scientists from universities, from research institutions to work as a team and then create these innovations together in a long-term stabilized way so that eventually they can provide such technology in a commercial way to the market, to the rest of the 99% of the companies and governments who are also need this technology to, well, upgrade themselves, right? They also have to adopt this AI technology for the next 2 decades. So we become an option to the rest of the companies and industries to acquire AI. So we already been working with a lot of companies. A lot of them are Chinese-based companies, and a number of them are international companies as well. So they buy our technology, they buy our deep learning services so that they can acquire AI technology in a commercial way. And our essential goal is actually to create value. So value creation is one of the key investment value of AI, right? I imagine there are a lot of investors on this audience, and investors, when they are trying to figure out whether a piece of technology is worth investing, well, it depends whether this piece of technology is itself creating value. For AI, as I mentioned, investment to AI actually pays for itself. So the use case of AI need to be explained in a very transparent way to the customers, for the customers to have the willingness to pay for the technology. And you have to lay out all the cost and all the benefits, right? You have to help the customers to calculate the return of adopting such technology. And eventually they will have a budget. They have a budget to buy this piece of technology, or they have a budget to do research around this piece of technology. So for us, we created our own deep learning platform, an in-house infrastructure that allow our scientists to design neural networks at a very low cost. And then they are able to, we have 200 PhDs right now, 40 professors, leading a research team of over 1,000. So they are able to design lots of neural network algorithms to enable recognition, recognizing object of interest. For instance, face is a particular type of object of interest, right? And also around image recognition, recognizing anything that's kind of an object of interest to our customers, and also recognizing surroundings around cars to enable driving safety, and also for medical imaging as well. So we are trying to locate the business value around this technology as well. And also we're trying to build useful, beneficial AI use cases together with our clients. So yeah, I believe during the past 5 years of this company, we're becoming kind of a platform of AI innovation. So we are trying to figure out what types of businesses and industry we're trying to enter. And before we enter into any of the vertical of the businesses, we would make sure that it's a useful, beneficial AI use case for humankind. We would also evaluate the business economics behind each of these verticals. For instance, we enable business owners to manage themselves, to manage the business more efficiently using these recognition softwares. And also we are working actively in smart city and also around the mobile internet for autonomous driving, for medical imaging, for satellite imagery. So there are a lot of images and video types of data existing in our physical world. And we're trying to use recognition capability of computers to structuralize the information within our physical world and extract value out of it, extract patterns, recognizing object of interest, and eventually develop a particular type of solution, right? A software that will help our customers to enhance their own business. So this is the business economics of us. So let's go to the fun part. So let's see some real-life use cases around that. So what's really happening in China, in APAC region, right, which is mostly where we are active. We're actively developing and shipping technology to the APAC customers. So for instance, right now AI is able to recognize a human body. It recognizes the appearance of your human body, and then it can actually develop a virtual avatar out of it. And this piece of fundamental algorithm is being sold to many of the app developers. So they are able to use this as a very interactive way for the live streamers to show their skills, and also even for teachers. When they are teaching children, they are able to create a virtual teacher and teach them in a very interactive way. And something even more interesting, right? Even right now, our algorithm is able to recognize the structure and everything in our own house. By scanning the structure of a house, you are able to, I don't actually raise pets, but right now I can actually raise a virtual cat in our house, right? And you can even interact with it. So it's also a very interesting piece of algorithm. And also for virtual navigation as well. For instance, such a large territory, we are having conferences. We're having conferences in these large physical premises all the time. So what if I got lost, right? Every time I have to get a human guide. Well, right now, with AI, you don't have to do that. You can use a virtual guide on your mobile phone to guide you to any location that you are supposed to be. Right, and also many others. We are kind of enabling some of the game developers in China. Tencent is one of the largest game developing company in China, right? So this is a new piece of virtual reality, augmented reality game released by Tencent. It's called Catch Monsters Together. So it's very similar to Pokemon Go, but in China there's no called Pokemon Go. So such similar user experience by interacting with the real world is enabled by our recognition capability, right? And what if multiple users want to play augmented reality game, right? Well, right now, we even have this synchronization capability that allow multiple devices to synchronize. And then you're able to, play as a team to shoot enemies. Well, you can see that they are actually just facing a plain table, but they're enjoying themselves, right? Yes. So these types of innovations are happening actively in China. It's very interesting, very innovative. Yes, so let's think about something even more serious, right? There are a lot of serious use cases for AI, which is, which matters for everybody. For instance, city management. As I mentioned, city management has been more and more challenging for governments. As we have all of these major cities, mega cities around the globe. For instance, London is also a mega city. It faces a lot of challenges, such as pollution, such as traffic congestion, right? Such as terrorism, such as crimes, right? So what if there are AI tools that help the law enforcement, the regulators, the governments to manage cities more efficiently, right? Face recognition, of course, it's a narrow definition of AI, but face recognition has been worthwhile land into the law enforcement. They've been using it during the past 20 years to capture criminals, to capture terrorists, right? But actually, when deep learning came up, it's able to allow cameras to recognize anything, well, any object of interest. So that's when we can see that facility management has been a more broader application being landed into this industry. For instance, right now, cameras can recognize garbage. Camera can recognize illegal road occupation. Camera can even recognize, well, wildfire and smoke. Camera recognizes around the food security, around hospital security, around many of the, well, scenes that we are right now living and working on. So all of this used to be done by humans, but right now, well, AI is doing that more efficiently. And sometimes AI can even do prediction of abnormals. So these are the areas that is bringing up the management capability for law enforcement and for governments around the globe. It's helping each of us who pay tax, right? We pay tax to buy safety, to buy convenience, to buy a lot of services from governments. So these types of things allow governments to do a better job. This is a live example. So all the sensors around the physical region is connected to a single platform so that the managers of this facility can interact with all the sensors and see, well, whether some of the areas are too crowded, right, gathering with too much crowd, and also around the parking lots, whether some of the parking lots are already filled, around the water quality, around environment, so that it is able to allow the managers of physical areas to manage things more efficiently in a more user-friendly way. Yes, and also for shop owners, right? We have a lot of small business owners who manage shops. And we also have some large companies like Walmart, like Amazon, who are developing Amazon Go, right? They want to enable these shop owners to manage their businesses in a more efficient way. It allows the shop owners to have the right tools to recognize customers, to recognize what customers like, and also to recognize what types of things are being sold in a more efficient way. So also help them to recognize what's not right, help them to optimize their ability, enhance their ability to manage shops. So, right. And also, AI is not just a software, right? Hardwares are the carrier of AI. So we've been developing a lot of hardware solutions to lower the bar of our end customers to adopt AI technology. And this is this year's newly released product, a face pass system. It's just like as small as a phone that's tapped to a wall, and by scanning your face, is able to open a door. And well, frankly speaking, I'm not that comfortable to use that to unlock the door of my own house. But well, think about it. Apple iPhone has been there for 2 years, and quite a number of us has been used to unlocking phones using our face. I think it'll take a while before I would accept to open my own house door using face recognition, but it wouldn't take long. Yes, and also for auto industry, there are a lot of big automakers who also need AI technology to upgrade themselves. So we've been also thinking actively around what types of technology we can develop for them. So there are a lot of new innovations already embedded to the next several years newly released cars. For instance, you can interact with your car using hand gestures. And also side tracking, well, whether the driver is looking at the road, and whether the driver is looking at the screen so that the screen can light up. And also, not just inside cars, more importantly, is outside the cars. It's around how to augment the ability of drivers to let them drive in a more safe way, right? So it's able to enable the cameras around the cars to see the surroundings, to recognize all these criteria and for cars sometimes to make decisions by themselves. Autonomous driving will come, well, in 1, 2, or even 3 decades. But augmenting drivers is already something that's very important. We will have more responsible and more professional drivers that causes less accidents, right? So this is something that AI already being deployed. It's being deployed and it's actually generating value. It's creating value. It's creating benefits. And also for medical, it's also one of the new verticals that I've entered last year. We started to develop some medical imagery algorithms to help the doctors to do a better job. Also to augment them, not to replace them, right? It's hard to say that, well, we don't need doctors in the future, but it's definitely, for right now, we see that, well, doctors need these types of recognition tools to auto-recognize disease patterns and for them to double-check, right? For them to do diagnosis more efficiently. Yes, so doctors can interact with the photos of a patient's human body in a more interactive way and also see the details out of it. Yes, and the last case that I want to share with you is around education. This is also something that we actually did in China. We published the first high school textbook for AI 2 years ago. And this year, we published middle school textbooks as well. So last year, already over 100 high schools, top high schools in China, opened class in AI, a selective class for students to learn AI before they go to college using this book. And we're actively pushing more, right? This year, over 2,000 is planning to open class of AI in high school. The reason why we are doing this, one of the key observations is that we see, well, many of the excellent companies like Microsoft, right, like Facebook, they are funded by college students. They had the knowledge of programming and computer science before they entered into college. They studied it way before. So what about AI? So there might be, well, successful AI companies making a tremendous contribution to the planet, or funded by college students as well, right? But they have to have knowledge around AI before they go to college. It's very important for the youngsters to learn AI. A manager with the skill to use AI as a tool will do better than the managers without. So for education, it's actually not just a book. It comes with all the experiments, online education platform, etc., for the students to learn AI effectively. We even create robots, autonomous driving small vehicles, to set up these experiments to teach students around how to train AI. Right. And this is actually what we want to achieve. As a responsible scientist team managing this company, we really think a lot around what we can contribute, right, to the society, to everyone, right, involved in the process of AI transformation. We realize existing problems like congestion, pollution, unequal, inefficient, unsafe, and we want to use technology to solve related problems around safety, lowering our life cost, creating, well, more creative jobs, and let everybody to do less over time, right? And also around health, around social connection, even around environment quality. And we see that, well, AI is able to bring a better world around all these aspects in the next 1 to 2 decades. It's something that we can actually make an impact, and we cannot do it alone. So that we need help. We need help from our partners, from our investors, from governments around the globe to think as a team to how to use AI responsibly and how to make the best use cases out of it. So, and I hope that by sharing all this information to this audience today, we are able to open new dialogue, and also it's possible that we are able to, maybe in the future, open an office in London, and also do contribution to this local economy as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Now I have one question. Thank you so much, and you're so welcome here in London. I hope you feel this today. One question for you as an entrepreneur. Your advice to your fellow entrepreneurs and innovators? You're building a very valuable company that's making a difference in the world. What advice would you pass on to others trying to do the same?
Thank you. It's a very good question. I'm hoping I'm not over in timing. Right. I think the use case around AI, there are many of them. The use case around AI need to be explained to everyone involved in the process of adopting that use case, so that everybody will know their roles and know their benefits, right? So AI creates a lot of value, but the value eventually is shared among everybody who is involved in the process. So for those who want to do an AI startup, who want to build something around this piece of technology, think about the eventual value that you are creating, and think about how to split the value around the value chain, and how you would be able to contribute to bring that to happen, right? And also, eventually, AI is not something that is done by a technology company alone. It has to be done by multiple parties. You have to be open, collaborative, and you have to open the dialogue as well. You have to persuade everybody, the investors, the governments, the regulators, and the general public. You have to persuade everybody, every individual, right? Because there are privacy concerns. There are a lot of things in the process. AI is a new thing, and it's not a regulated thing, right? Because it's too new. Right. But eventually, everybody has to meet in the middle, so that we can generate the benefit out of it, and also it doesn't cause damage, right?
Right.
For instance, privacy, right? That's
right now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Forgive me. I wish we had a bit longer, but Bing Zhu, founder of SenseTime, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.